androids. They're not just the stuff of sci-fi anymore, are they? The excerpts you sent over, diving into Philip K. Dick's, do androids dream of electric sheep? Have us really thinking about what it means to be human.
It's so interesting how Dick uses this future Earth.
Yeah.
You know, ravaged by war and populated by these eerily lifelike androids to kind of hold a mirror up to our own anxieties about technology, about empathy, and what truly makes us different.
And in this world where even animals are artificial, we meet Rick Deckard, a bounty hunter grappling with the weight of his assignments. He retires these rogue androids. But how can you tell who's real when the lines are so blurred?
Well, that's where the Voigt-Kampff test comes in. Imagine being hooked up to a machine. Your every flinch and blush analyzed just to prove you're human.
Wow.
That's the Voigt-Kampff test in a nutshell. It's designed to measure empathy. The one thing they believe androids can't fake.
Okay, so a real-life mood ring with consequences way higher than a bad date. That's intense. But as these excerpts reveal, it's not foolproof.
Exactly. We see with Rachael Rosen, a woman who seems completely human, but fails the test. She's a Nexus 6, the most advanced android model, blurring the lines to an unsettling degree.
The excerpts mention other androids, too. These Nexus 6 models who are practically indistinguishable from humans. It makes you wonder, are they truly incapable of empathy or just really good at mimicking it?
That's the question that haunts Deckard. And honestly, it should haunt us, too. If an artificial being can evoke a genuine emotional response, even if programmed, does that diminish its significance?
And it gets even more complicated when the Voigt-Kampff test is revealed to have flaws. Deckard, who's relying on this test to do his job, is suddenly faced with the very real possibility that he could be retiring a human being.
That's the moral crisis at the heart of the story. Deckard is forced to confront the limitations of his own judgment. And the possibility that the line between android and human isn't so clear-cut after all.
It reminds me of those optical illusions, you know, where you see one thing and then suddenly it's something else entirely. That's got to mess with your mind, especially when lives are at stake.
And Dick takes that uncertainty a step further by introducing the specials, humans who, for various reasons, exhibit reduced empathy. They're deemed less desirable, ostracized by this future society.
It's chilling because it forces us to ask, what if we were judged solely on our capacity for empathy? Who gets to decide what's considered normal and what's not?
It's a slippery slope.
And
it speaks to the dangers of rigid categorization. Especially when applied to something as complex and nuanced as human emotion.
And then there's the added layer of paranoia. Androids working undercover within the police department itself.
The police station infiltration is a masterstroke of suspense. Don't you think? It throws everything into question. How can Deckard trust anyone, even his own colleagues, when the enemy can so expertly blend in?
It's like trying to pick out a single face in a crowded room. Except in this case, the face you're looking for might not even be human. The constant uncertainty, the fear of the unknown, it's enough to make anyone crack.
And it does take a toll on Deckard. The more androids he encounters, the more his own views begin to shift. Can you really dehumanize something that looks and acts so human, even if you know it's not?
He's wrestling with his conscience. His programming, and the very foundation of what he believes.
It's a battle between logic and emotion. And frankly, I'm not sure either side wins in this story.
And that's what makes it so captivating. Dick doesn't shy away from these uncomfortable truths, these moral dilemmas that force us to confront our own biases. He makes us question our assumptions about technology, about empathy, about the very essence of what it means to be alive.
So we've got this society teetering on the brink, questioning its own humanity. And in the midst of it all, we're introduced to Wilbur Mercer and Mercerism. It's almost like a lifeline in this chaotic world. But is it genuine connection? Or just another layer of artificiality. Mercerism.
Right.
It's a shared empathetic experience.
Almost like a spiritual practice where people literally plug into a device, an empathy box, and feel what others are feeling.
It's such a fascinating concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a world where genuine human connection seems increasingly rare.
Yeah.
Mercerism offers this sense of belonging, of shared purpose, but it also raises questions about authenticity and dependence.
Right. It makes you wonder if you need a device to feel empathy.
Right.
Is it really empathy at all?
Yeah.
Or is it just a simulated version of the real thing?
Right.
Kind of like those electric animals everyone seems so obsessed with.
Ah, yes, the electric animals.
Right.
A perfect example of how this society tries to replace the real with the artificial. Even when it comes to something as basic as companionship, owning a real animal, like Deckard sheep, is a status symbol, a sign that you've somehow managed to hold on to a piece of the past.
And yet even Deckard, who hunts down artificial life for a living, longs for something authentic. He becomes fixated on the idea of owning a real owl, even though they're incredibly rare. What do you make of that?
It speaks to this deep-seated longing for connection, for something genuine in a world that increasingly feels manufactured. And it's ironic, don't you think? The Rosens, the manufacturers of these lifelike androids, try to exploit that longing by offering Deckard an owl in exchange for his silence about the flaws in their product.
Talk about a moral quandary. It's like, here's this rare, beautiful creature, a symbol of everything that's been lost, but it comes at a price. Your integrity, your humanity. What would you do in that situation?
It's a question that has no easy answers. And it's one that Dick forces us to confront again and again throughout the story. Where do we draw the line? When does the desire for something real, something meaningful, justify compromising our values?
And it's not just the humans who are grappling with these questions, is it? The androids, especially the Nexus 6 models, seem to be searching for something more as well. They crave experiences, knowledge, even love.
Take Lubeluft, for example. She's an android who finds solace in beauty and opera. She's moved to tears by a painting in a museum.
Wow.
It challenges our assumptions about what androids are capable of feeling, doesn't it?
It's like they're trying to understand what it means to be human.
Maybe
even more so than the humans themselves. And yet they're trapped in these artificial bodies. Denied the full spectrum of human experience. There's a real tragedy to that, I think.
Absolutely. And that tragedy is brought into sharp focus with Roy Beatty. The leader of the escaped android group. He's intelligent, charismatic, even desperate to experience Mercerism, that shared empathy that defines the human experience for so many. But he's forever on the outside looking in.
And he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. To fight for his right to exist, even if it means resorting to violence. It's hard not to feel a little bit of sympathy for him, even though he's technically the antagonist.
He's a product of his environment, wouldn't you say? Created by humans. Exploited for their gain. And then discarded when they outlive their usefulness. It's no wonder he's angry. That he's willing to do whatever it takes to survive.
He becomes this reflection of humanity's own capacity for cruelty, for dehumanization. It's like looking into a distorted mirror, and it's not a pretty sight.
And it circles back to that fundamental question. What does it mean to be human? Is it our empathy? Our capacity for love? Our flaws? Or is it something more, something that can't be quantified or replicated, no matter how advanced our technology becomes?
These excerpts really dig into the complexities of artificial intelligence. But there's this other layer, too. The way Dick weaves in the specials. Those humans with reduced empathy. It makes you wonder if even within humanity itself, there are gradients, variations that defy easy categorization.
It's a challenging concept. And one that resonates today, perhaps even more than when the book was written. We're constantly bombarded with information, with images, with artificial simulations of reality. It's easy to become desensitized, to lose sight of our own humanity, our own capacity for connection and empathy.
And that's where I think Deckard finds himself. by the end of these excerpts. Yeah.
He's been through the ringer.
Right.
Emotionally and psychologically. He's questioned everything.
Yeah.
Confronted his own biases.
Right.
And witnessed the devastating consequences of a society struggling to define itself.
Yeah.
In a world of increasingly blurred lines.
He's lost his way. Both literally and figuratively.
Right.
He seeks solace in the desolate wasteland.
Right.
A place devoid of both human and android life.
Right.
As if by stripping away all the external noise, he might finally be able to hear his own inner voice.
It's a desperate attempt to find some semblance of peace, of understanding.
Yeah.
But even in that emptiness, he's haunted by the ghosts of his experiences.
Right.
By the realization that the line between real and artificial, between human and android, might be more fluid than he ever imagined. And it's in that desolate landscape, stripped bare of everything familiar, that Deckard encounters a glimmer of hope. Wouldn't you say?
Okay.
He finds a toad.
Right.
Clinging to life in this wasteland.
The toad, it's a powerful symbol in these excerpts.
Right.
Isn't it? A testament to resilience, to the persistence of life, even in the face of overwhelming adversity.
Yeah.
And for Deckard, it represents something real, something authentic in a world where those qualities seem increasingly rare.
He's clinging to it.
Right.
Desperate for that connection, that spark of wonder. He even brings it back from the wasteland. This little piece of hope to share with his wife.
Yeah.
But then that hope is shattered, isn't it? The possibility that the toad dough might be electric.
Right.
Another manufactured illusion.
Yeah.
It devastates Deckard.
Yeah.
It's as if the very fabric of reality is unraveling around him.
It's that final gut punch that sends him reeling.
Right.
After all the questions, all the uncertainty, the very idea that he could be so easily fooled.
Yeah.
So thoroughly immersed in a world of simulations, it's almost too much to bear.
It forces him to confront a terrifying possibility, doesn't it? If everything can be faked, if the line between real and artificial is practically non-existent, then what does it even mean to be alive? What does it mean to be human?
These excerpts don't offer easy answers, do they?
No, they don't.
They leave us with more questions than we started with.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the point.
Dick's genius lies in his ability to hold up a mirror to our own anxieties, our own uncertainties about the future. He forces us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that the line between human and machine, between real and artificial, may be more fluid than we'd like to admit.
So where does that leave us? What can we take away from this deep dive into do androids dream of electric sheep? We've explored empathy tests and artificial animals question the nature of reality itself.
I think the most important takeaway is the importance of staying vigilant, of questioning our assumptions, of never taking our own humanity for granted. As technology advances, as the lines continue to blur, we have a responsibility to engage in these difficult conversations. To consider the ethical implications of our creations.
Because ultimately, the future isn't something that simply happens to us, is it?
It's not. It's something we create. Through the choices we make, the questions we ask, the connections we forge.
And maybe by embracing empathy, by recognizing that spark of life in all its forms. Whether real or artificial, we can build a future where both humans and machines can coexist. Not as adversaries, but as fellow travelers on this strange and wondrous journey we call existence.
Yeah, beautiful thought.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive into Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? We hope this is giving you plenty to ponder. Yes, lots to think about.
Remember the next time you encounter something that seems too good to be true. Take a closer look. It might just make you question everything you thought you knew about the world and your place in it.